If you're a filmmaker or content creator trying to make your videos look more professional, improving your lighting is definitely the first thing that you should be focusing on. And the good news is that you don't need a full studio or a massive lighting kit or a ton of gear to get there. So here's the plan. In this video, I'm gonna show you 4 really simple lighting tricks and techniques that make a huge difference, even if you're working solo or in a small space. And to do that, I've partnered up with SmallRig for this one. They sent over a small lighting kit for me to test out, and it's been a really great example of how much you can do without a huge setup. So secure the cup and let's get into it. All right, first things first, let's talk about the gear that we're gonna be using to do all these tips today. I'm gonna be shooting everything on my Sony FX3 and a 24-70 G Master version 2, but this isn't necessarily important as far as the actual lighting tip. Shoot with whatever camera you have. This is just what I'm using, and I know that somebody is gonna ask in the comments, so now you know. More importantly, this is going to be the centerpiece of all of the lighting that we're doing today. So this is the SmallRig RC100C light. So it's a 100-watt light. It's full color if we want it to be. It's got this little mini reflector. We've got this little kind of rubber diffusion dome if we want to use that. It also comes with a handle that you screw onto the bottom, and you can use it for handheld lighting if you want. That handle also accepts the battery, the V-mount battery that comes in the kit. And then you just have to run power from the handle to the light itself via USB-C, or there's a D-tap on the back of here as well. But my favorite thing about this light, aside from the fact that it's so small, is the fact that that V-mount battery that it comes with will go directly onto the back. So just like that, and now our light is powered. And it's still so small, especially for 100 watts of power. The battery in the kit is 73 watt hours, so it should last us quite a while. And we've got the ability to take off this little reflector, and we've got kind of a mini Bowens mount on here that we'll talk about in a second. The other thing that comes in this kit, aside from the case itself, is a mini Bowens mount to full-size Bowens mount adapter. So if you want to use full-size Bowens mount accessories on top of it, you can, but we're not going to need to do that today because SmallRig sent us over some accessories that fit on that mini Bowens mount. First things first, we've got the RAD30 30cm parabolic softbox. Probably the cutest softbox I've ever seen, and it's really easy to put together too. You just pull all these rods up into place and they stop there, and then when you want to take it down, you just pinch these handles and it'll collapse. And then we have the big sibling. So this is the RAD60 mini parabolic softbox. For this one, we actually have 2 layers of diffusion. There's an inner layer. Do you see that first layer in there? And then we have the top layer. And we've also got the grid if we want it. So this one is 60 centimeters, whereas the smaller one is half that size at 30 centimeters. The other modifier that we have for the RC100C is this spotlight modifier. Now this is gonna allow us to do 2 things. First of all, just like you would expect, a spotlight, it's going to make it so that we can focus the beam of light in a small space, but also it comes with this, which goes inside the middle of this kind of lens that we've got here. And then we've got a bunch of these, and they're called gobos. You place one inside this little holder here, you place the holder inside the spotlight itself, and then it's going to make an image in the light. We'll talk about that a little bit more when we get to tip 3. But since we're primarily going to be using this as our key light, meaning our main light to light up our subject, we're gonna need another small light. And that's where this 10-watt SmallRig kind of flashlight comes in. It's focusable. So once you turn it on, you can actually focus it wider or smaller if you want. And then it's also got this kind of little snoot that you put on the front, and it's got gobos as well. So we can put these plastic gobos in the front, and now we can cast different kind of shapes and images as we want to. It's got an internal battery, and you can charge it via USB-C. And that's pretty much our main kit. The only other things that I'll have to use as we go are things like stands or like these little SmallRig friction arms to attach things places so we can actually set up our lights where we need them. And then maybe another battery if we run out of power. SmallRig sent this one over. It's their new X99, so it's a 99 watt hour battery that's like waterproof and like super rugged and durable. All right, that's all the gear. Let's get to the first tip. Our first tip, and potentially one of the most important things about lighting, is the placement of lights. And within that, we've got different dimensions. So we've got the distance of the light from the subject itself. We've got the height of the light and how it's tilted in relation to the subject. And then we've got the left and right angle in relation to the subject as well. So right now we've got kind of a typical talking head YouTube style setup, something that would be good for interviews. This is kind of my typical talking head setup, set for head and shoulders. Here's what it looks like with absolutely no light on me whatsoever. I do have some ambient light going on in the room, as you can see, but that's just really so that you can see what's going on in the room as well. Using the app that's connected to the light, I can turn it up to about, I'm at 45%. And this is looking pretty good. I'd say for this kind of setup, this is a good place to start, but we can totally change it if we want to get a different kind of vibe. So first and foremost, we've got the distance of the light from the subject. Now, the closer to the subject that you get, the softer the shadows are going to be on their face. So if I brought this light in closer, I'm going to get slightly softer shadows on my face. Now, because I've brought it closer, it's also gotten brighter, so I can probably turn it down a little bit. Maybe something like that. Now, moving the light closer has a similar effect to using a larger softbox. You're gonna get those softer shadows on the side of the nose, which is generally a fairly pleasing look. The thing that you wanna keep in mind when you move the light closer is that the ratio of the light that's hitting the subject and the light that's making it all the way to the background is going to change. So what I mean by that is that the closer the light is to the subject, the darker the background is going to be once you adjust for the new brightness by the light being closer. So you're gonna get a more intense ratio of light here versus light on the background. If we do the opposite and we push this light back more, you'll notice that we have harsher shadows on my face, harsher shadows on the background, and we've got a more even light between me and the background. So generally, if you want to have a nice soft light, which a lot of people like to do with their key light, you want to have that light nice and close or have it be a really big source. And then you also have some control over the light hitting the subject versus the light hitting the background too, and you can light your background separately if you want to. Now, let's say we like a nice happy medium. We want that light kind of back where we had it to start with. So the next thing to think about is where our light is from left to right. Now, currently I've got it kind of off to the side of the camera about 30 or 40 degrees. And that's casting this shadow on this side of my face, which is generally fairly pleasing. It's got some depth to my face. I don't look too flat, but we can go too far with that. So let's bring it out further to the side. So now you can see I've brought the light out further to the side and it's casting a longer shadow of my nose. And if we go even further with that, this is called side lighting, and I've pretty much got the light facing directly against my one cheek, causing this whole side of my face to be pretty much in shadow. One thing that this also does is it stops a lot of the spill from this light onto the background, so now we've got a completely dark background. This can be really handy for really dramatic scenes where you want your character to have kind of that two-face kind of look. You see it in a lot of dramas. So we've gone from kind of a small shadow to the most extreme shadow. What happens if we go the other way and put the light basically right behind the camera? Now the light is directly behind the camera and my face is almost completely evenly lit. You can barely see any shadows on it at all. You've probably seen this look before. It's really popular amongst people who show off makeup or fashion. They want that really kind of fully lit, even look. A nice, soft, even flat light like this can be kind of flattering if that's the kind of look that you're going for, but it doesn't leave a lot of dimension in the face if you want a little bit of that kind of depth to your shot. Personally, for my videos, I like to have a little bit of that kind of cinema look to it, so I like to go to about a 30 or 45 degree angle. Now, the other thing that I mentioned is the height of the light. This is going to do essentially the same thing as our left to right, but obviously the shadows are going to move up and down instead of off to the side. Now, this is going to be a bit difficult to demonstrate on our current kit because I don't have the ability to tilt my light with the light stand that I've used, so I'm gonna do this handheld. So this is pretty much where I had the light before, but what if we move it up that. If we put our light kind of overhead like this, we're used to seeing this look because a lot of our lights in our houses and in our buildings are all overhead like this. I personally love to have it at kind of an angle facing down. Maybe not quite as overhead as this. This is a little too dramatic for me, but can be really useful if you're trying to do something that has that extra drama to it. You get those shadows in the eyes and under the chin. And then of course, you could light from underneath if you wanted that kind of spooky horror ghost story kind of thing going on. Maybe not super useful for content creators and YouTubers, but you never know. So now I've got it back basically in the place that it was to start with, maybe a little bit higher than that on that slight angle and slightly above. This is kind of where I like my light. Wrapping up tip number 1, it's all about placement, and you can change so much about the way that your subject looks just by changing the distance, the left to right, and the up to down of your light. So moving on to tip number 2, we're actually gonna stop worrying about me so much. We're gonna leave all this as it is, and we're gonna start thinking about the background. So right now the background is pretty boring and it's pretty flat. We're gonna do something with the RF10C to change that. Now this is where this friction arm is gonna come in handy here. So it's got a little clamp on it, and then I'm just gonna screw this into my little spotlight here. And then what I can do is actually clamp this into the rafters in this room. So like I showed you before, we can push this in or pull it out to kind of change the size of our light. But what I want to do is actually grab the gobos that I talked about before. So first things first, I'm going to put this little cover on it. And then I'm going to pick a shape. We've got a shape that's kind of circles. So I'm going to put that in there, and we'll just kind of angle it. Now if we get back into our centerpiece here, so now you can see that added a bunch of texture, a bunch of different light splashes onto our backdrop back there. This is what it looked like before, and this is what it looks like after. Let's try it with a different shape and see how it looks. So now after a little bit of adjustment, we've got what looks like the kind of light coming in from a window, or the shadows being cast by the window panes. Not only does this just add a little bit of interest to the background, but it also kind of catches the eye and makes you see the depth in the frame as well. It took our super boring background and kind of made it just a little bit more interesting. So tip number 2 is that you can use interesting shapes of light in your background to create that extra depth. Now, the next thing that we're gonna do, we're actually gonna leave that light in the same place, but we're going to stop using it in the background and start using it as something called a kicker or rim light. The idea behind this is that it separates the subject from the background, and it's super important. It can make a huge difference in the quality of your videos. So let's move this thing around. I'm gonna remove the gobo. I'm just gonna spin it around so that it's pointing down at me. I'm actually gonna move it over a bit here too, so that it's more behind me. I'm just trying to get it pointed downwards enough so that it's not actually spilling onto the camera lens. So we've got the RF10C up above and behind me that's adding this extra rim light around my shoulders and head. Now, just to show you what this looks like, I'm gonna take the app and turn off my key light completely. So you can see we've got this light that's kind of on my shoulders and on the back of my head, and it's just separating me from the background a little bit. If I turn that key light back on, now you can see what the whole picture looks like. So this is with no rim light, and this is with the rim light. If I only had this 2-light kit, I would probably choose to use the R10C for this purpose rather than the other one using it as the background with the gobos. That's kind of like an extra thing for me, whereas this is very important in my opinion. Now, speaking of backlighting, for the final tip, we're actually gonna have to go outside. So let's regroup out there. Filming outside, something that I do a lot of, can be really, really annoying if you're relying only on the sun for your lighting. If I'm facing towards the sun like I am now, I get really harsh shadows on my face. And if I start to face away from the sun, you can see that now I'm completely in shadow. So here's what I like to do. So first things first, I'll generally try to set it up so that the light is coming from behind me. Now, right now it's kind of above and behind me, so it's like up over there somewhere, and I'm blowing out my shirt shirt, but my skin is really well exposed. So I could either try to make it so that I'm not overexposing my shirt by bringing down my aperture, something like that, but now my face is quite dark, so we kind of have to have some kind of a trade-off. I could just go with the fully blown out on the shoulder and that kind of look, and sometimes that's just what you have to do. But since I actually have a light here, I'm gonna crank down my aperture a little bit to make sure that I'm not blowing out on my shirt, and then we're gonna add some light to the situation. We're gonna try and get it in as close as we can here to try and kind of fill in some of those shadows. We're gonna dial our aperture in. So now we've just got a little bit of extra light on my face, which is giving us a better ratio between the rim light that we're actually getting from the sun this time instead of our RC10 and the actual subject and what we want to be seeing in the frame. It's a fairly subtle difference, but I'll show you here what it looks like before and after. So this is with no light whatsoever, and that's with the light turned on. Okay, so here's the thing. As I was trying to edit that part of the video, I realized what most of you are probably screaming about in the comment section. I had a reflection in my sunglasses of the light. Now, I could have just scrapped that whole part, come out, refilmed it, and never told anyone that there was that problem in the original take, but I thought we could use this as a learning experience. I would come back out and show you how to fix it instead. Now, first of all, I wanted to show you that if your subject doesn't have sunglasses on and isn't going to have that reflective problem, it shouldn't be an issue. So this is without the light on, and then this is with the light on. It's bright, geez. But it's bright out, so I want to have my sunglasses on. So the question is, how do we fix it? So this is gonna go back to what we were talking about before with the angle of the light. Now we're gonna have to make some trade-offs here. So right now, if I turn that light on, you're gonna get that little pop of light, but you're gonna see the reflection in my glasses. The thing that we're gonna do that's gonna make the biggest difference is move this over to the side. And there'll be a point that I'm not gonna be able to see here, where it's gonna be far enough over that it's gonna not be in the reflection. And I'm hoping that I've got it over there because I really don't wanna have to come out and film this again. So that's without the light and with the light. Now, the other thing that we can do is if we have the ability to angle the light. Now, I've had to kind of rig this up so that I can angle it with just some pieces that I had lying around the studio. So now we have the light slightly above and angled down, and it's gonna really depend on the curvature of the glasses that the person is wearing, but hopefully this is getting rid of some of that reflection so that you're not seeing a big circle. And it's also gonna look a little bit more natural because obviously most of the light that we're seeing is coming from above as well. So again, this is without the light and with it. And again, you'll just have to play around with the angle to try and get the reflections out of your sunglasses. Unfortunately, I can't see while I'm recording whether I have that reflection again, so here's hoping. All right, so a quick recap of our 4 tips and techniques that we learned in this video. First of all is lighting placement. So how far away from the subject it is or how close it is to the subject. Then we've got our left to right creating different shadows on the face. And then we've got up to down, again, creating differences in shadows. So that can make a huge difference in how your key light looks on your subject. Then our second thing was to add some depth in the background by adding background lights and the use of gobos to create interesting textures in the background. Then we flipped that background light around for tip number 3 and used it as a rim light or a kicker. And then finally, if we're lighting outside, we have the tip of using the sun as our kicker or as our backlight, and then bringing out a light to fill in the face so that we can get a better ratio between the subject and the background. And we managed to do it all with a fairly minimal kit from SmallRig. Now, on the topic of gear, I will leave links to all the gear that I used in this video down in the description if you want to check it out. And SmallRig has a lot of other options as well if you want to look at bigger lights or if you want to look at all the different modifiers that you can possibly pair with these lights. The world is really your oyster, and for the purposes of this video, it was just fun to try and do something with this small kit. I hope that you got something from these tips, and I hope that in your next video that you make, you try at least one of these lighting tips and let me know down in the comments if it makes your video look better. If you did get something out of this video, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button, hit that bell notification so you don't miss out on future videos. Huge thank you to SmallRig for sponsoring this video. Huge thank you to you for watching, and I'll see you next time.